Okay, the second part of this 5.6 solving percent problems video, what we're going to do is going to deal with example 3 and 4. In example 1, we found the percent of a number. Okay, example 2, you found the same thing but using a ratio table. So example 3 is a little bit different. This is where you really need to pay attention to how the directions are written, because you're going to be finding the whole of a number, and then you can find the whole using a ratio table for the next two examples. So you need to know the difference between them. Flashcards are a good choice to try to figure out the differences, putting examples down, because on your test and on your next quiz, it will be written out that way. You'll see how it says, find the whole of these numbers, or whatever, something like that. So be prepared for that. So part of the key idea to this section is you can use a related division equation to find the whole given the part and the percent. And so the first part is finding the whole. So that's what we're going to start with. How do you do that? Step 1, you're going to write the percent as a fraction. We know how to do that very easily. We take whatever the percentage is, we put it over 100, we reduce it. Step 2 would be to then divide the part by the fraction. So if we had 20% of 60 is 12, prior to this we were trying to find what the 12 equaled. Now they would give you in an example, this would be gone, and you would be given the 12. So to do the opposite, you would take 12, which is the part, divide it by the fraction that we get. I'm just going to kind of skip ahead here, but 20% as a fraction equals 1/5. So that is what something would look like, and in order to do that, remember, you take 12 over 1. Now I'm going to do the reciprocal of 1/5. Remember, this is from a prior chapter. Go straight across. 12 times 5 is 60 over 1 equals 60. So again, I'm getting the rest of what I need to, and that's what I'm going to show you in example 3. So a problem that you would be using to find the whole would look like this. So 75% of what number is 48? The what number, obviously, is what we're trying to find. So following our steps, we would write the percent as a fraction. We would reduce it. And then we would take and divide the part by the fraction. So remember, the part over here is 48 divided by the fraction. And again, you have to have that reduced if you want it to be easier. Don't forget to use fractions with your whole numbers. When you multiply, then you do the reciprocal, and then you can solve. You can do some cross factoring if possible, and then you solve. And then you multiply straight across. 16 times 4 equals 64 over 1, so equals 64. So your answer after you simplify ends up being 64. So 75% of 64 is 48, and that's how it would look as an answer. Example 4 is finding the whole using a ratio table. So we're going to start with this example. 120% of what number is 72? So you're going to set your ratio table up by part and whole. And something we already know is that part of it is 120%, and as a fraction would be over 100 as a whole. So your ratio table should be set up like this. We've got our part being 120, our whole being 100. So just to sum this up, the first column represents the percent. Whoops, that's not where I wanted to go. Let me erase. The first column, there we go, represents the and you're out of school. The first column represents the percent. So basically, part over whole equals 120 over 100, which equals 120%. So the next thing that you need to do is start filling in what we know. Well, we know part of that number is 72. So again, we've got information. How do we get from here to here and then here to here with a number that makes most sense? Which number can go into both of those numbers so that we can get there? So once you do the workout, you should realize that if we divide that by 20, we can get 6, and then 6 times 12 equals 72. So 6 was a good number to use. Whatever we do to the top, we're going to do to the bottom. So we divide it by 20, and we should come up with 5, and then 5 times 12 is 60. So, overall, 120% of 60 is 72. So we found what number, being 60, 120% of 60 is 72. So I've showed you two different ways to figure this out. You can find the whole by using the division way, or you can find the whole by using the ratio table. You need to figure out which one best suits you. How do you learn better? From the ratio table or from just doing the multiplication problem? I'm sorry, the division problem that we just learned in example 3. So your 5.6 part 2 twirl discussion problems are on your own, page 227, numbers 5 and 6. So what you're doing is you're finding the whole, just like we did. 5% of what number is 10, and then 62% of what number is 31. The best suggestion I have for you is to go back to what you just wrote down in your notes. Look at which way made more sense to you. So seriously, just take it and look in, so example 3, they did 75% of what number is 48. We took 48, we divided it by 75%, which we turned our 75% into a fraction. And so it ended up being 48 times 4 over 3. Is that the best option for you? Or try using the ratio table to find that. If you're really good at finding those patterns, that might be a better route for you. So do your best on those two problems. If you still aren't understanding it the best, I want you to go to the next page, or next 2 pages, page 229, and do a couple of those practices from, looks like numbers 27 through 36 on page 230 actually are good practice problems for this. Good luck, and I'll see you on Monday.